Hello, my name is Kadus Campbell from thebuttonsmashers.com, and today we're going to be discussing nudity in video games. And I'm joined by Jorge Varela. Hey Jorge, how are you doing, mate?
Hi, hello. I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much for bringing me in on this topic that the both of us are so very much fond of, apparently.
Yeah, we definitely are fond of these types of topics, especially because we do a podcast together that is primarily based on these kind of topics.
Yeah, even though it is much more lighthearted than this topic right now. Yeah, we have the Etchy Cast where I wouldn't say that we glorify it, but we definitely take a more lighthearted approach to nudity and sexuality and all that stuff that shows up in video games, and we kind of just give it a chance when most people seem to be a little bit more averse to it, which is kind of what we're going to be talking about right now.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that aversity to towards titles of a sexual nature and how it correlates with other things, in the gaming space, and not just the gaming space, but in life itself and things around us and everything like that. But what we're talking about today is based on a game that's supposed to be coming out soon from NIS America. The game is called Criminal Girls 2 Party Favors. The game is supposed to release in September the 23rd in North America and Europe. So yeah, well actually it's 23rd for Europe and it's the 20th for North America, so just a couple days apart for those of you in Europe. You just have like 3 days wait. But the reason why we're talking about this is because of the fact that the game is not being released in a couple regions. Germany and Australia, for two of those, are not. They're just not gonna have the game, and their reasons for not having the game is, in Germany's case, is the fact that their rating body is just not gonna rate the game. They're just not gonna give it a rating. They're not even gonna give it a chance. It's just like, we don't want this game here.
Which is not the first time that it happens. Like, there are so many games out there, particularly, yes, like in Germany and Australia and all those European places, where they simply do not, like, they refuse to classify that a game, even though they do have a rating that says, okay, this is for adults, this is 18 plus, and for some reason these are just not, they refuse, they deny the classification for these games, and they don't allow for people to play them. The only way that you can get those games over there is by importing them.
And that's the thing. The thing is that when you have games like these that you have to go through outside means to get it, people still get it. The people that want it will still get it. They'll import it. They'll find their way in of how they're gonna get it and all that kind of stuff. The thing is that you're not able to regulate it. You're not able to keep it out of the hands of the people that you don't want it to get into, because the whole point of rating systems is to protect younger kids, to protect them from games that they maybe should not be exposed to at the age that they're at, and so forth. And when you don't allow the rating systems to work, when you don't actually give something a rating, but people will still get their hands on it, because when this game is released in other regions in Europe, Europe is a lot more connected than some other places in the world. It's like, for example, let's say the US was split according to the states. Let's just say, for example, Florida decided, hey, we don't want to have certain games in this state, and so you can't have this game A in Florida, but it's still connected to the rest of the US, more or less. What will happen is that people just go over to another state, get the game, and then come back. Or they'll have someone just ship it into them.
Precisely, and you say that some places are more connected than others. I mean, the entire world is connected with each other thanks to the internet and how easy it is to access it now. You can just go to a website, and not even like PlayAsia or anything like that. You can just go to Amazon or eBay, and just some regular dude will be like, hey, here's a copy of this game that you're not allowed to play. Do you want it? And yeah, you just pay some money, and you receive it without much trouble, without having to answer or waiting for like the government to determine whether you're allowed to see it or not.
Exactly. And then it comes down to the point where, for example, like you say, like anyone can just order it online and so forth. So let's say, for example, I'm a teenager, I'm like 12, and I have access to my parents' Amazon account because maybe I have a Kindle or something, and I know their password, and I want this game, and my parents are okay with me ordering the odd game every couple months, and so I decided, what, I'm gonna order this game. Mom and dad will be cool with it. It'll come in. I order the game, it comes in, my package reaches, and when you get a package from Amazon, it doesn't say what is in it. It just says game or whatever have you, and then you just it's a brown box or an envelope or some kind of packaging. And so the parents will never get to see the package. Your package reach, they look at it, oh hey, this is for Paul or Johnny or whatever have you, and just give it to you, and then you go to your room, you rip it open, and your game's inside here. And So it's not easy to regulate. Amazon doesn't know your age when you're ordering something, as far as they're concerned. Whoever's ordering is an adult, because you need to be an adult to make an Amazon account.
Yeah, and you have like a credit card details and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, they would always assume that it's an adult ordering this.
Exactly. And in some cases, they have like a prepaid card their parents may give them. They'll put a certain percentage of money on it, and then they can shop with that card. And so again, you can't monitor these things. You can't regulate these things. Not saying that, for example, even with rating systems, you can't monitor these things. But when you have the option of being able to go to the store near you, or being able to get it on a network near you, like PSN or XBLA or whatever have you, it's easier to regulate that way. It's easier to regulate because of the fact that the person will. I would prefer to just get a game nearby, in the sense of a PSN or whatever have you, or go to a store nearby, rather than wait for Amazon to ship it in, because of the fact that it's not too far and I want it now.
Yeah, and a lot of it can also the root of the problem is usually just cultural problems. I mean, some people are a little bit more extreme. For example, here in the United States, people are perfectly okay with super violent things, and even a lot of movies and TV shows that are normally considered for kids or for preteens or whatever, they can get pretty violent, or at least very raunchy and adult or whatever, while anything that's related to sexuality or sex, or even a girl taking her shirt off, or anything that implies sexually suggestive stuff, then it immediately gets shut down or whatever, or said that it's immoral or something like that. While in other places like Japan is literally the other way around. And it seems that in Europe, in Germany, one of the reasons that I'm seeing here for why these games were refused classification was because that they think that it would be harmful to minors. But if they think that it is harmful to minors, why don't they just give it that 18 plus rating to tell people, hey, this is 18 plus, your kid should not be playing this? Wouldn't that solve the problem? Because if you give the 18 plus rating and there are minors that you are worried about being corrupted, then there's something wrong with the rating system, not necessarily with the game itself. It's like you're putting the blame on the game rather than your system that seems to be broken. Because if you have 18 plus and you're afraid the minors might get to it, then that means that your rating system doesn't work, or that people are not listening to it, or you're not enforcing it correctly.
Exactly. I was speaking to a friend from Europe earlier on, and he was saying, that rating systems are pretty much a suggestion, and that makes no sense. Why would you have a system that's a suggestion? It's just suggestion. Don't worry about it. You don't have to follow the rules. You can do whatever you want. It's just here just to help you along, and they pretty much are. They're pretty much suggestions, because most retailers don't really obey the rating systems. Someone comes in, they're buying a game, they buy it. There are some retailers that will not sell you a game unless you're the right age or whatever have you. But the majority, they just want to make a sale. They have to make a certain amount of money. They have to pay people, that kind of stuff, and so they'll just sell it. And with retailers like bigger retailers, they have to make a certain quota. The people that work there, they have to make a certain quota every month and so forth, to get bonuses or whatever have you. And when you have systems like that where people have to make a quota, they're gonna sell you whatever. They're not concerned as to what the ratings are. As far as they're concerned, once they sell you something, they're gonna make money off of it, because it's a sort of commission rated sort of thing. And so the rating systems don't work. It's obvious that the rating systems don't work, and they need to be reworked. All of them, PEGI, the rating system in the USM, R, so forth, and every single one of them, they need to be reworked in a way that they have to be a part of the law.
Yeah, that, and more to the point, I've always been of the belief that you can't really hide these things from people forever. So I think the best thing to do would be to just inform people, like give them the proper information that they need and educate them on what's actually going to be in it. Because most of these people that are determining the ratings are people that are clearly not interested in playing the game, period, at all. And so for games that are for such a niche market, even in Japan, then it seems like you're not really helping anybody by refusing classification for a game that only a very niche market is going to buy, where at this point they already know what's going to be in it. It would just be a way to inform people that don't know about it, that probably weren't interested in it from the very beginning. So just let people know what's in it, because if you don't allow them to get it, then they're just gonna find another way. Like the internet exists. They'll get Amazon, they'll get eBay, they'll go PlayAsia, they'll import it, and if they want it, they'll get it. And so to just make that more difficult for them, I feel like, you're not helping, especially when you're refusing classification. It would be better for, if you're not going to classify it, at least like put something out there to give like an explicit explanation of what this thing is and why you don't want it there, and rather than just giving us this cop out of, well, think of the children. I'm like, well, this game is not for children, so like what's the point you're trying to make?
Exactly that. It's not for children, and if these rating systems were upheld, one thing I was thinking about as it relates to this is that, for example, if you think of a restaurant, restaurants have a code that they have to follow. And what happens is that on random moments, if you've ever worked at a restaurant or know of restaurants, at random moments, people just, there's a person, a health inspector or whatever have you, that comes and visits the restaurant to see if everything's okay, everything's according to code. And if it's not, they close the restaurant down until everything is, up to standard. The thing is that game retailers and so forth, they need to be held to that same standard. They need to be to a point where if some person just shows up every so often and checks the retailer and sees if they're fulfilling their duties, in the sense of, as a company that's selling something, they're following the law of the land, and if the rating systems are part of the law, then they're able to to regulate this thing and make sure that it's right. Because I've seen videos of people sending in a kid into a place who says he's 12 years old and still getting to buy this stuff and then walks back out,
or like a little child is trying to go into an R-rated movie or something.
Exactly. And it needs to be regulated. It needs to be enforced. It needs to be a part of the law, or no one takes it seriously. It just happens, and then people who actually want to get the games, people who are actually of the age that the game is targeted towards, are unable to play. They're unable to get the games that they want, and they're not really protecting anyone, because at the end of the day, whoever wants the game, when you take away something from people, it creates even more want for it.
Yeah, it just makes people sound old and out of touch and not really understanding what the people need. But, at the end of the day, we could be talking about this forever. But, just to kind of wrap up this discussion, let's just get to the root of the question here. Is nudity such a bad thing, or just sexuality in general in games or in media? I don't think so. I think it's a perfectly natural thing. It's difficult for me to understand why people are so averse to it, but I still stand by my previous philosophy, or at least perspective of, we just need to educate people. It's like trying to explain to people what's in the forest or where the babies come from or something. You can't just tell them that the stork did it for the rest of their lives. They're gonna have to know, and sometimes it'll rely on the parents, it'll rely on the school, or it'll rely on both. But either way, you can't hide this stuff from everybody. Definitely from little children. They'll get their time. But there's an audience there that wants this kind of thing, and you're not letting them, and you're not really helping all that much. And so, Q, what's your final word on this thing to kind of answer that question?
My final was exactly as yours. You said it pretty well. I don't think I have anything else I can add to that exactly. So I think we've covered this topic. I think we've talked about it. Guys, thanks for watching this video. We are gonna keep trying to do videos like these, short videos about topics that are going on in the industry right now, and just cover them on the channel so that you guys can have more content in between reviews and stuff like that we have coming on the channel. Thanks again for watching. If you guys want to see more from us or hear more between Jorge and I talking about stuff like this on a more lighter note, you can always check out the Etchicast. It's on iTunes, it's on Stitcher, it's on every podcast application out there.
Yeah, see you later. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give this video a like. And of course, you can go to our website, thebuttonsmasher.com. We do news, we do reviews, and if you're a fan of podcasts, then be sure to visit that site because we have a lot of them. All of that content is created by really fun people that love what they do, so we highly appreciate your support.